Good evening. November 19th, 2023. Yesterday, Saturday, the 18th. Um, I'll start with Iowa first. They played Illinois at home, senior day. Last game at Kinnick for the seniors. I was glad that, it was never a question if Noah Shannon was still around the program. Um, that they would have him involved in the senior day festivities, and I'm glad they gave him the honorary captain. I thought that's what would happen, and it did. It was the right thing. The fucking NCAA is a joke, but we already knew that, right? So yeah, it was good to see him get his, you know, appreciation from the crowd and the coaches and the other players. He was a heck of a player. He would have tore it up this year, man. Um, Damn shame what a bunch of probably like 70, 80-year-old now, white men in a conference room in Indianapolis or some bullshit running the NCAA making these decisions. Like, come on, bro. All these kids are in college now. They're all addicted to their phones and they're all gambling money that they probably don't have. Um, the Iowa DCI or whatever just decided to go after the football programs, the wrestling programs, men's basketball, women's. It's just like, what should they have been doing it? Should they have been using other people's accounts? No, but they're also 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year olds. Like, we, society has never been through this because gambling has not been this freely of a luxury or a um, option for anybody over the age of 18 to just be gambling recklessly. So we're seeing the effect of what happens when you're just like, okay, here's, you get paid some money every couple weeks. You got $20 left over and you bet 17 of it on, the New York Giants to throw three out of their first five plays. You got the Celtics winning by 11. The Chicago Blackhawks to score 2 goals in the second period. Like, it's just, yeah. So Noah Shannon got his appreciation. Iowa wins 15-13, moving them to 9-2, 10-1, because fuck PJ Fleck and Minnesota Golfers. We won that game. Everybody knows it. Should be 10-1. We're 9-2 in the books, but it wasn't pretty. I thought Illinois might beat them. That Isaiah Williams, number one for them, is really good. I thought their running back was pretty good. And that Paddock kid, their quarterback, he's a player. He's a gamer. He's still learning. And it's tough to learn against the Phil Parker defense. They only scored 13 points. Iowa got the safety first to go up 2-0. Joe Evans, heck of a player, man. He's a senior last game. We're going to miss him a lot. He was all energy all the time. And he played that defensive end better than we've had some good DNs come through there. Epinesa, Matt Roth. What was that? The Nelson kid. Who else have we had play in for us? Bill Ennis-Inge. We've had some players out there. I just can't think of them at the moment. But anyway, Joe Evans got that safety. We almost had a touchdown, but Illinois got it back. Went up 2-0. Then Illinois kicked a field goal. Then I can't remember from there, but yeah, I thought Caleb Brown's starting to play well, starting to be the player that everybody was hyping him up to be. Maybe not that much, but he's contributing significantly more. He wasn't contributing at all before, so it's anything is significant. But he's looking good out there. He's getting open. We're getting him the ball, and he's making some moves. That's what we need out there. Um, and in that sense, like Brian Ferentz was getting his flowers. You could tell how much he meant to the players. That moment between him and Kirk was special. As an Iowa Hawkeye fan, you guys know my love for Kirk Ferentz. He and my disdain for Brian Ferentz calling plays. I think we should get him back on the offensive line. I think every Iowa fan I've talked to is in agreement with that. They're just like, yeah, just get him away from calling plays if he can swallow his pride and move him back to the offensive line. Like he's got that knowledge, he's got that tenacity. We had some really good offensive lines when he was our coach there in that position. And that's where it all starts. So that's where we need to get better at. And then the offense gets better. I just wish Brian would. I'm sure he knows that. I wish he would just accept it and go back to offensive line. He still gets to work with his dad. And I think I can't remember what I talked about in the other ones, but I'm guessing I talked about the timing of his firing. I thought that was distasteful. In the middle of the year, coming off a bye week, and they waited in the second week. It was like Wednesday or Thursday of that week is when they announced it. It made no sense. If you know, just wait until the end of the year, or don't do it till the end of the year, or leave the option open for him to coach the offensive line, or just figure it out. But to have whatever they're doing right now isn't working. He's calling the plays. Let's try this. Let's try him at offensive line coach again, or assistant. You don't have to immediately step on the toes of whoever the O-line coach is right now. I don't even know that much. But yeah, he's out of here. And that was an emotional moment. At that moment, it was very humanizing for me because I've talked all the shit in the world about Brian Ferentz. He's frustrated me to no end. But it's hard to argue 9-2, 10-1. It's hard to argue 9-2, 10-1. Like it's not pretty, and it would be nice to win games comfortably or never in doubt. You don't play down to the competition of like a Minnesota or Illinois. You win, that's just not who Iowa is. And maybe patience is key. Maybe Brian Ferentz and Kirk are smarter than everybody else. They're 9-2 in college football. That's hard to do. I don't care that the Big Ten West is weak. We all know it is compared to the other side and other conferences. It is what it is, though. They've got their own style. It's 6 teams or whatever. Just leave them alone. They play ugly football, but for those of us that root for those teams, it's fun to us. They're good rivalries. We fucking hate each other, but at the end of the day, we respect each other. And if it was us versus the southern states or the Southwest or the West, I think I can count on, and we can count on Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. Maybe we can get Indiana and Ohio, Missouri versus everybody. Like that's a good chunk. Why don't we just block each other off and we'll just do our thing with some common sense and getting this crazy mindset and division and politics and all that bullshit out of the way. We're just going to wall ourselves off and become this little country called the Big 12 or the Big 10 or whatever. That would just be funny. We just keep living life as we are now without all the bullshit and the reality show that we call politics and just the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. We're just like, hey, we're good. Leave us alone. We'll come in and out of our own country. We'll take the proper steps, get visas or whatever, but we ain't playing around with this bullshit anymore. Um, Forgot what I was talking about now, but yeah, it was just very humanizing when the players and Kirk and Brian had that moment. You could tell how special and how much it meant to all of them, especially to win the way they did. It looked like a halfback dive. Caleb Johnson to the left of the center there, and he cut it back right and just took off, and it was a touchdown. Game over, 15-13. I can't believe the kicker missed the extra point to go up 3. That's a crucial point there, and then Bozo just missed it. Like, you can't be doing that little celebration after beating like Purdue or some bullshit where he did the sleep thing. You can't be doing that and then missing a 51-yarder at home, and then an extra point to go up 3 with like a minute to go. Come on, bro. Don't be doing that stuff until you prove your worth again. Because right now you're on my shit list. And I'm sure Kirk in his little notebook, he's writing that down. Like, come on, dude. You're on the team to make kicks. You have one job to do. And that was a crucial point. Illinois drives down the field, kicks a field goal. They've got a really good kicker. We lose by 1 because your bum ass couldn't make the extra point. I thought it was blocked, but my dad, who knows a lot better than me and listens to the radio, said it was. Said he just missed it. So we got to get that cleaned up. But yeah, I thought Caleb Brown played well, which opened up number 6, Flips kid. I can't remember his last name. He caught one. Our tight ends, our backups to the backups to the backups. 87 and I think 48 is the other one. They're good. I mean, they stepped right in. The one dude had a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That was a nice looking play. Took a while to develop. I think Deacon Hill, he showed it on that one. He doesn't have, amazing speed, but it's serviceable. Like, take off and run sometimes, buddy. You don't always have to take a sack. You just showed us you got a little bit of legs on you. Take off and have some confidence and run. That's going to be another dimension to the offense and make everything else easier, because they aren't worried about that, and now they've got to focus on that. And that's maybe the genius of Brian Ferentz. And to take it back to say it was humanizing, it was like, oh, okay, these guys really believe in him. Like, he's maybe not as bad as he portrays himself in the press conferences and his demeanor, which is never fair to judge anybody on anyway. But it was just, oh, they care about him. And look at this now, like, things are coming to fruition. Deacon Hill's getting a little bit better. Caleb Brown's playing a lot better. Maybe patience was the key, and that's the secret sauce to the Ferentz is Brian and Kirk. If you just keep working hard day in, day out, work a little harder than you did the day before, you're always going to improve. Maybe if it's just incremental improvements over a 12-game, 13-game season that they're in right now. We just finished week 12 of college football, which is wild. It goes way too fast. But if you keep improving every day and it's a long-ass season, it carries in. You have a break, but then you got to pick it back up in the spring, and it's go time. But during the season, that's when it's really go time. Foot is on the gas pedal, and you just got to keep improving, even if it's tiny, tiny bits during the season. And by the end of the, end of the rope here, we got one game on Friday at Nebraska, and then the Big 10 championship game. Who could complain about that? They won the Big 10 West. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. Did they deserve it? I don't know. Probably not, but guess what? They are there. They're 9-2, 10-1, and they're going to be playing in that Big Ten championship game. The last one between the East and the West division, the Legends and the whatever it was, Legends, and how can I forget that? Whatever they if initially had titled those two sides of the conference, Legends, and somebody's probably screaming at their screen right now. But anyway, I'm thinking about going to that game in Indianapolis, taking the Amtrak and going over there. It's going to be probably the last time that Iowa makes it for a while, just because they have been lucky to be on the west side of things and win it a few times. They should have beat Michigan State. They didn't. That would have put them in the playoffs, which would have been wild. They got stomped out by Michigan, but just like any game, it's a game of inches. There were like 3 plays in the first quarter and a half of that game versus Michigan where they ended up losing by like 45 points. But if those 3 plays would have went the other way, it's a completely different game. But that's not the way the cookie crumbles. Michigan stomped them, and this time they're going to play Michigan or Ohio State. I think they're going to play Michigan. I think Michigan's going to upset Ohio State, which I do indeed think it's an upset, even though it's at Michigan, the big house. I think Ohio State's a little bit better. But I just think somehow, some way, Michigan ends up pulling it off. And then Iowa plays Michigan, either team, they're going to be underdogs by like 21, 24 points. And that's probably deserving. I mean, the one hard game they've had this year, the difficult game, they played Penn State at Penn State and walked out of there 31-0 on the losing side. So, like Harrison Jr. versus our corners versus Cooper DeJean, that would have been fun to watch. I think Harrison still gets 100 yards and probably 1, maybe 2 touchdowns. But I think DeJean holds his own for a little bit there too. Yeah, but we're not going to see that. So I think he has a darn good day against Ja'Cory or whatever, Harris, number 27, and then number 8, Lee. I thought Lee played really well for his, first full game starting and whatnot for DeJean filling in there. He had a couple pass breaks up. He should have picked one off. It went right through his hands. Actually, 2 of them. He almost got a crazy one off of a bobble from another guy. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, he impressed me. I thought number 8 played really well at cornerback yesterday. But I just think if they play Ohio State, Trayvon Henderson, they got a stable of running backs. McCord's good. I think Ohio State stomps them pretty early. I think either team, either way, it's just going to be, I hope a lot of people show up from Iowa and just have a good time. Appreciate the present, being at a Big Ten championship game again. It's wild. Are we going to win? No. Everybody here knows that, but we just came to party. We just came to hang out with each other as a tribe, as a unit, as the Iowa Hawkeyes, faithful. In heaven, there is no beer. How about them Hawkeyes? Go Hawks. IOWA, It's going to be fun. I think I'm going to go. Just fuck it, So I'm thinking about taking the Amtrak to and from, unless I can hop a ride back with somebody I meet there. I think it would be fun. I think I'd try to document it all. I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe if I can catch some things, just show true good people, Iowa nice, just living it up, loving their Hawkeyes, just doing the damn thing, just living, too many people aren't out there living anymore. So maybe I'll just document that as much as I can without being a douchebag. Like, I don't know how people do that. They make cool videos. I watch so much YouTube, and I'm always in awe of people's talents and the time and effort and skill that they put into making their videos. I don't know how to do any of that, but I love, I think I can see things um, from a uh, aesthetic, artistic, I don't know. I can see things in a cinematic way, maybe, like slightly. Like I don't have, I think I can see things that would make a good that people would be interested in. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm gonna try my best. I think I'm gonna do it and make a little 10-minute documentary of my trip to Indianapolis, and more importantly, the people of Iowa, wherever they come from, um, migrated to Indianapolis, Indiana for a weekend and just shut the shit down. Um, that would be fun to watch. I think. Anyway, Iowa goes to Nebraska on Black Friday. Um, Now, Florida State. Um, I'll just get it out of the way. I initially did not see, I was watching it. I watched the play and I saw him go down. And my initial thought was this, and this is terrible. But my initial thought was, you got to be kidding me. I thought, I don't know if I still think, but I have viewed Jordan Travis as a drama queen when it comes to injuries or are you injured or are you hurt? You hear football coaches say that all the time growing up. And it's true. Can you keep playing or do you need to take a play off or two, get some water, get your breath and get your ass back out there? We need you. Or are you injured? You need to take off the shoulder pads and the helmet and you're done for the day. Hit the showers, bro. I've always thought he's had a hard time deciphering between the two. He'll act like he's injured. It happened earlier this year with his left wrist or forearm. He was acting like he couldn't move it, and maybe he couldn't. Maybe they gave him a shot of something because he did run into the locker room and then came out and he was fine. Like, I'm appreciative of him playing afterwards, but I thought he just loved the attention. And that's me as a Florida State fan watching a majority of their games. Whether that's fair or not at the surface, I don't know. That's just the way I felt. So when he went down, I didn't see the leg at first, and I was like, oh, come on, man. And then he moved it to a point where you could see the injury again with the leg and the foot and the ankle pointed at like a 45-degree angle the wrong way on his left lower leg. And I was like, oh, no. This team this year, these coaches, Jordan Travis, it just hurts. It stinks because this team they all feel special. This team, these coaches, Jordan Travis, Keon, Bethune, Deloach, Jerrion, Green, Shaheem, Trey Benson, Tolafili, Johnny, Marquiston, Jaheim Bell, CJ Campbell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Fabian Lovett, Senior, Verse, Patrick Payton, all them dudes. Lundy. It just feels like that. Like 2013 was it was so fun to watch because they were back to being Florida State, where it was never, you expected to win every game, and they did. They won every game. They were wire to wire. And it was fun. Like, they had athletes at every position. They were in every game. They had to come back. They stomped people. It was just fun to watch them. Injuries weren't a big deal of it. And then this year felt a lot like that, just a whole different cast of characters, but they felt like they were quote unquote back, as many And as cliche as that is to say, it felt like Florida State was back. They were the hunted again. And things were rolling along. It was North Alabama, yes, but I've seen and heard that people are mad at Norvell for playing him at all. And hindsight's always 2020, right? Like, come on. At that point, they were also down 13-0 to North Alabama in the second quarter, I'm pretty sure. Second quarter. 13-0 to North Alabama in the second quarter at home on senior day with the 2013, a lot of those players from that team at the game. They're honoring in the addition of Jameis Winston into the Ring of Hall of Fame or whatever the fuck they call it. So a lot of people there, a lot of recruits, sold out stadium, I'm pretty sure. And they're down 13-0. It's senior day. Jordan Travis is still in there like he should be. That's my opinion. He rushes for like 20, 25 yards maybe. And at midfield, it's crazy that he went down perfectly at midfield. And the number 13, I've seen a bunch of things on that. There's like 5 or 6, 7 different weird things with the number 13 that went on during that game or occurred. But he goes down. I didn't see the initial injury. Then he moved his leg a little bit, and I was like, I actually didn't watch too much more of the game after that because I was just so angry, so upset for him, and the team and the coaches. Yeah, that one hurt. I dogged Jordan Travis's first year at Florida State. He was running all the time, and I was like, man, just throw the ball. Yelling at my screen. And eventually he started throwing it a little bit, and he got really good. He got balanced a little bit. He played extremely well the LSU game in 2022, where they won by 1 point, a blocked extra point. And he was playing really well this year, and oh man, just heartbreaking for the whole situation as a Florida State fan. It's just, there are no words. You just feel terrible for him and the coaches and the team. But with that being said, I did go back and watch the game later. It felt good for Jerrion to get the Holy Trinity there, the sack, the scoop, and the score. That was big for them. They needed that. They were down 13-3, I think. That made it 13-10. Huge play. He was a senior. That dude used to get dogged by me all the time, probably 2 or 3 years ago, because he was getting toasted, but he was young. He was learning. He was learning on the fly against really good receivers. And look at him now. He's all the better for it. He's played extremely well this year. Hopefully he gets a chance in the NFL. He needs to, I don't know. I was going to say he needs to add a little size, but what the fuck, I don't know. But it's been fun to watch the growth of Jerrion Jones. I can't remember his last name. Jerrion Jones. Yeah, that didn't sound right. Played really well. It was good to see him get that play. That was special. Felt really good for him. Shaheem was sticking his nose in everywhere. Bethune had a good game. Didn't notice Deloach a lot, but that's okay. Maybe he was just playing his roles. The defense played well. I mean, they only gave up 13 points, but they still got to tighten up that run defense a little bit. They're just getting carved up a lot. I wonder what they're giving up yards per game is, or yards per carry, as a defense, because I bet it's over 5, which is not good. And maybe not if sacks and everything are included in that stat. I'll have to look that up sometime. But yeah, they gotta clean that up, especially next week at Florida, because they got some good running backs. Um, and I'll talk about that in a second. But uh, yeah, so Rodemaker, he just has no sense of urgency to me. He's too calm, cool, calm, and collected. Too laid back, but he's getting the job done. Um, I think he can use his legs a lot more. Again, like Deacon Hill, even though they're not comparable, maybe they're comparable in speed and whatnot. It just adds another dimension that the defense has to account for. They got to assign a player, or a spy, or someone to look out for, and that might open something else out, something else up. That's my opinion. But I think he can utilize his legs a lot more, and hopefully he does against Florida. Hopefully those opportunities present themselves so he can, make those good decisions. But that's only if, worst case scenario, because he has playmakers all around him. Look in the backfield. Um, we got Trey Benson, we got Holmes, we got Tolafidi, we got CJ Campbell, we got um, I'm missing somebody there, but and then we got Keon, we got Johnny, we have Portier, we have Hakeem, we have Ja'Kai Douglas, we have Marquiston Douglas, we have number 84. We have Jaheim Bell. We got players everywhere. Somebody's got to be open. Get your ball to the playmakers, Rodemaker, and trust them. Only use your legs if you have to, and you should be good because those guys are going to make the play for you. They're just as hungry to beat Florida as they were Miami. In my opinion, of course, I'm biased. I'm a Florida State fan, but if I don't like to talk too far ahead. You got to take the game that's in front of you. If they beat Florida, which is going to be a tall task, I think, but they can do it. If they beat Florida and end up beating Louisville, both will be hard. Both will be difficult to do. If they go 13-0, I have them in the playoffs. I think they're deserving of it. It's a team game. Of course, losing Jordan Travis is detrimental to them. Are they as good without him? No, but maybe they could pull it off. I think it's a disservice and just a disservice to the rest of the team. If we're just, breaking it down, there's 22 players that, play offense and defense. I know there's a lot more, but it's just not fair to any of those people involved. The work that they've done, it's not just the last 12 games. It's the 3 years ago when they were shitty and lost to Jacksonville State on a last-second Hail Mary. All the hate they had to go through and the shame and the bullying and the beatdowns and the practices and the punishment and the embarrassment, all that they had to go through just a few years ago to be where they're at today, number 5 now, undefeated, hungry, in a real unit, a real family. It feels like they just feel special. I think they can compete with any of the top 10 teams, top 12 teams in the country right now. And I think they're in the top 4 of those top dozen teams. That's just my opinion. Yes, I am biased, but I've watched a lot of their football. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. Their special teams are good. They can compete with anybody. Yes, the ACC is soft. But it's a team game. You got to account for the coaches. I hate that. And the playoff committee is a bunch of fools, man. Like, if you had any sense in you guys, You would make this a 12-game playoff this year. Look at the top 10. It's amazing. It would be so fun to have a 12-game playoff. Just roll it out. We don't care if we're not going to be like, oh, no, let's wait till next year. No, be like, hell yeah, let's do this. Like, oh, you're telling me there's more college football? And college football ends in a couple of weeks. 3 weeks, it's all over for a couple of weeks, and then we got bowl games, and it's over. Then we're wanting it more. Roll out, implement this 12-game playoffs, you bozos. You will make a gazillion dollars. Figure out the logistics. You can play at the higher seeds home stadium until you get to like the semifinals, then hold your bowls again. Like, figure it out. The ad money is there. The networks will there's nothing good on TV in the networks that college football is played on between when college football ends and the bowl games. It's just terrible TV. It's like the Christmas Story on 24 hours, and then Law and Order, CSI Phoenix, and King and Queens or something. Like, it just pisses me off how just stubborn and egotistical, and like, there's got to be a way, right? Like, we as the fans and the teams, I'm sure they want to play more, and I'm sure it means more to them if they have a chance to win a national title. That's every team's dream. That's every fan base's dream. That's every coach's dream. Roll this thing out. 12-game playoff. You're looking at let me look at this, and then we'll get into the games for last week. Let me see what the top 10 college teams are. Top dozen, I guess it would be. All right. So you have, this is the AP poll announced today, November 19. Georgia, number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Michigan, number 3. Washington, number 4. Florida State, number 5. Oregon, number 6. Texas, number 7. Alabama, number 8. Louisville, number 9. Missouri, number 11. Missouri, number 10. Penn State, number 11. And Ole Miss rounding it out at number 12. The next few, just out of curiosity, Oklahoma is number 13. LSU is 14. Oregon State is 15. Arizona is 16. Notre Dame is 17. You know who I'd like to see in there is Arizona, LSU, and yeah. But I mean, those are good games. Match any of those teams up against. It's so bizarre that they aren't even considering it. So stubborn in their ways. Oh my God. The gambling world, how are they not behind this? Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll tweet at the big gambling and betting sites and be like, hey, let's get this shit rolling, get some momentum behind it, and get them to understand how important a 12-game playoff would be this year. It would have so many eyeballs. There's so much shit going on in the world. A lot of people just want to watch college football. I know it's not everybody, but it's tens of millions, I would assume. I don't think it's hundreds of millions. There's only 330 some million that live in tens of millions, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how many people watch college football, but yeah, it's a good chunk of people. It's so much money. If money drives everything, this makes 0 sense. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Florida State goes to Florida on, I think, Friday night. I got to look that up. I watched the Florida game too. That Max Brown scares me more than Mertz ever did. Max Brown's a player. He's a scrambler. He's very athletic. Florida State needs to get ready for him. He's no joke. So if they think they're going to go in there with the defense and have their way with a backup quarterback, they got another thing coming. Max Brown is the real deal. So yeah, that's an interesting matchup. And then Rodemaker, I wasn't impressed by Florida's defense. I think we can run on them a little bit, um, lean on them. I mean, and get some yards. I mean, Benson's going to have a day. I think we just got to hang on to the ball, get the ball to Johnny, get the ball to Keon, get the ball to our tight ends, Jaheim, get the ball to our running backs out of the backfield. Tolafili, got to hold on to it. And on defense, we gotta mess with Max Brown, keep the pressure on. I think have him make some mistakes, get him rattled. But we got to stop number 2 Johnson, the running back. We got to stop ETN number 7 and Pearsall, who last year just torched us. We got to keep them in check. If they're going to get their touches, but we just can't let them have crazy days. Got to keep those guys out of the end zone. And I think Florida State sneaks a win out of there. It's going to be really, really tough. Big rivalry game. It's a big one. It's always a big one every year, no matter what. This one has a little more meaning. I wish JT was there, of course. But I'm glad we're playing Max Brown because Mertz isn't that good. I don't think he's having a decent year this year, but Max Brown, it was very impressive last night. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. And then Iowa goes to Nebraska, 11 o'clock on Black Friday. I usually watch that game while I'm at work. Sorry. If I need to do something, I pause it or whatever, and get what I need to do. But it's a pretty slow day. I like working that day. I used to go down to the Applebee's down the street because there wasn't too many people in there. They had a gazillion TVs, and I could just sit in a booth and watch the Iowa game. They had so many TVs everywhere. And it was quiet, and they had decent food for cheap. But they tore it down and made it into a car wash. Oh, man. People wonder what's wrong. Like not what's wrong, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like people were still going there. Just because I said it wasn't packed, there were still 20 people in there at any given time. And they just tore down our neighborhood grill. People wondering where our neighborhoods are going. And in the same breath, they're okay with people tearing down our neighborhood grill. Make it make sense, right? Like, come on. But yeah, hopefully Iowa comes ready to play. The Chuba Purdy looked pretty good. He's a scrambler. Iowa has some trouble with scrambling quarterbacks, but same thing. If they need to rough him up and keep the pressure on, Phil Parker, disguise some things, make him make some mistakes and rattle his confidence, I think Iowa will sneak out of there. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Of course, I want them to win, but it's just going to be tough. I think Iowa sneaks out of there with the win, but it's not going to come easy by any means. But that offense is looking much better the last few weeks, so we'll see. All right, to start off, Texas A&M beat Abilene Christian 38-10. Texas A&M is 7-4. Abilene Christian is 5-6. Army escapes Coastal Carolina 28-21 at home. Coastal Carolina is 7-4. Army is 5-6. Eastern Carolina puts up a goose egg against Navy on the road. Navy scored 10 points. They win 10-0. Ole Miss beats Louisiana Monroe at home 35-3. Louisville goes on the road and beats Miami 38-31. Miami is struggling right now. Gotta feel bad for Van Dyke. I watched a good portion of that game, and he was getting murdered. A couple plays, he just got his chopped in half and got his head taken off. He kept getting up, but man, gotta feel bad for him. I think that's 4 or 5 losses in a row now. 4, I think. Louisville is 10-1, ranked number 10th in the nation, or at least they were yesterday. Maryland goes on the road and wins a tough one, 31-24. Michigan goes on the road at Maryland and wins 31-24. Pretty good game. Maryland had a chance, but Michigan's defense held up, and that was ball game. Michigan State goes on the road, maybe surprising, and beats Indiana 24-21. Michigan State's 4-7. Indiana's 3-8. Oklahoma State goes out to Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. I don't know if anybody saw this game, but they were, when they come back from a commercial break, they would have beautiful, I don't know what the official video editing term is, but they would pan in from the mountain range that surrounds the stadium. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. So that's a big plus for the Big 12 getting that scenery like that. That'll make people or encourage people to travel out there to see these things and spend a couple days hiking or whatever, eating at the cafes and the mom and pop restaurants and going into the stores. That's how we build this thing back. And yeah, it's cheesy, and yeah, it's college football, and yeah, David Bakhtiari doesn't like it. He prefers the NFL. Fuck that guy, man. Like, cool. Like, that's your preference. That's your opinion. Guess what? I love college football, and I could care less about the NFL. Nobody cares. It's called your opinion. Thanks for tweeting it, but you look like a bozo. Arguing and getting tied up in this NFL versus college football thing. Like, give it a rest, bro. People can like one or the other or both, or none of them. It's really up to the person, and nobody really cares. It's not that important in life. It is entertainment. It is sport. Yes, some of us like it a little too much, but whatever. Anyway, Oklahoma goes on the road to BYU and wins 31-24. Oklahoma's 9-2. BYU is 5-6. Purdue loses on the road to Northwestern 23-15. Penn State wins at home versus Rutgers 27-6. UConn picks up their second win of the year versus Sacred Heart 31-3. Sacred Heart is now 2-8. Penn State is 9-2. Rutgers is 6-4. I don't think I said that. SMU goes on the road and beats Memphis in a close one, 38-34. SMU is 9-2. Memphis is 8-3. So that was a battle of the 8-2 teams. Alabama wins a snoozer at home versus Chattanooga, 66-10. It was 38-7 at halftime. Tulane goes on the road and beats Florida Atlantic 24-8. Mississippi State beats Southern Miss at home 41-20. Tulane is now 10-1. Florida Atlantic is 4-7. Mississippi State is 5-6, and Southern Miss is 3-8. Liberty, undefeated Liberty, beats UMass 49-25. That was at home for Liberty. They're now 11-0. UMass is 3-8. App State goes to James Madison, where College Game Day is, and PFT on College Game Day. I think he picked all the wrong picks. But App State wins on a controversial touchdown, 26-23 at James Madison. I've seen the play like 4 different times, and every time, whatever channel I've been watching on, there's like a banner at the bottom, a thick banner, and I can't see if the ball crosses the end zone or make a judgment for my opinion, to base my opinion on. I've never seen it in the 4 times because this banner, it's very strange. It's usually saying something about the game. But anyway, Wyoming wins at home versus Hawaii 42-9. Wyoming is 7-4. Hawaii is 4-8. Ball State wins at home versus Kent State 34-3. Ball State's 4-7. Kent State is 1-10. Ouch. Jacksonville State, who is really good, I've watched them a little bit, beats Louisiana Tech at home 56-17. It was 42-10 at halftime. Damn. Jacksonville State is 8-3. La Tech is 3-9. Rice goes on the road and beats Charlotte 28-7. Rice is 5-6. Charlotte is 3-8. Middle Tennessee holds tough at home and beats UTEP 34-30. Middle Tennessee is 4-7. UTEP is 3-8. West Virginia beats Cincinnati at home 42-21. West Virginia is 7-4. Cincinnati, who I had in my top 25 at the beginning of the year, is now 3-8. Arizona stomps Utah 42-18 at home. Arizona is now 8-3 and Utah is 7-4. That's incredible. That quarterback, Arizona as a team is really good. Obviously, they're 8-3 and they stomped on Utah. It was 28-7 at halftime. Yeah, Arizona's quarterback is really good. Excuse me. Tired. Yeah, from all I've heard, I haven't seen any of that game. It wasn't even close. Arizona controlled it the entire way. Duke loses on the road to Virginia 30-27. Virginia is 3-8 and Duke is now 6-5. They lost a bunch of games in a row. They were looking real tough with Riley Leonard, but he's been hurt. Totally changed the dynamic of the team and the potency of the offense, and they're really struggling right now. Colorado State beats Nevada at home 30-20. Colorado State is 5-6. Nevada is 2-9. North Texas beats Tulsa on the road 35-28. North Texas is 4-7. Tulsa's 3-8. UAB beats Temple at home 34-24. UAB is 4-7. Temple is 3-8. Arkansas State puts up 77 points against Texas State, beating them 77-31. Arkansas State is now 6-5. Texas State is now 6-5. Baylor beats up on TCU beats up on Baylor 42-17. TCU is 5-6. Baylor is 3-8. Baylor is having a terrible year. Iowa beats Illinois 15-13. Iowa moves to 9-2, 10-1. Illinois moves to 5-6. NC State goes on the road and beats Vatech 35-28. NC State is 8-3. Vatech is 5-6. If I was pairing the Bulls, I would match NC State up against Jacksonville State. I think that's an excellent matchup. But that's just me. It's the NCAA and the bowl committee, whoever that is. It's run by buffoons. I'll say that until they change their mind on implementing the 12-game playoff this year. Anyway, Western Kentucky beats Sam Houston. Western Kentucky moves to 5-5. Sam Houston is now 2-9. That score was 28-23. UCLA goes to the Coliseum and beats USC handedly, 38-20. UCLA is now 7-4. USC is 7-5, and they've lost like 4 or 5 in a row. Lincoln Riley's a fraud. Alex Grinch was a terrible defensive coordinator. They fired him a few weeks back. Yeah, I mean, UCLA just took it to them. They were the tougher team, 38-20. UCLA 7-4, USC 7-5. Georgia beats up on Tennessee in Knoxville, 38-10. Georgia undefeated. Tennessee is 7-4. Troy beats Louisiana at home, 31-24. Troy is 9-2, and Louisiana is 5-6. I think I had Troy in my top 25. Clemson playing tough out of nowhere. They looked dead in the water a few weeks back. They're now 7-4 after beating North Carolina 31-20 at home. They're looking tough. Klubnik's playing way better. Shipley's playing like we expected him to play. The defense, Trotter Jr. Looks really good. But yeah, they looked really tough against North Carolina, who's a good team. 31-20. Clemson 7-4. North Carolina is 6-3. UNLV comes back and beats Air Force 31-27 on the road. It was 27-14 at halftime. Air Force is 8-3. UNLV is 9-2. Notre Dame in the Sam Hartman Bowl beats up on Wake Forest 45-7. Notre Dame is 8-3, and Wake Forest is 4-7. Ohio State dismantles Minnesota 37-3. It was only 13-0 at halftime, and then they put the beat down on them. Ohio State's undefeated. PJ Fleck and the boys are 5-6. They got a win versus Wisconsin, battle for the axe to get bowl eligible. That'd be hilarious if they're not bowl eligible and PJ gets canned. Auburn, you've probably seen this if you're watching this. New Mexico State gets paid $1.8 million to go to Auburn and play them. New Mexico State ends up beating them 31-10 at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. That's incredible. Auburn moves to 6-5. New Mexico State is now 9-3, coached by Jerry Kill. So good for them. Went to an SEC school on the road and just beat the piss out of them. Oklahoma State beats Houston. They had to come back in this one a little bit. They win 43-30. Oklahoma State is now 8-3, and Houston is 4-7. Oregon goes to Arizona State and wasn't even close. 49-13. Oregon's 10-1. Arizona State is 3-8. It was 42-0 at halftime. Bo Nix had 6 passing touchdowns in the first half. Let me say that again. Bo Nix had 6 passing touchdowns in the first half in a conference game. There's no stats on this one, but South Alabama beats Marshall at home 28-0. South Alabama is 6-5. Marshall is now 5-6. Texas Tech beats UCF 24-23 at home. Texas Tech is 6-5. UCF is 5-6. Old Dominion goes on the road and beats Georgia Southern 20-17. That's a little bit of an upset. Old Dominion's 5-6. Georgia Southern is 6-5. The band is on the field, and Cal beats Stanford 27-15. Cal is 5-6. Stanford is 3-8. Florida State comes back against North Alabama and beats them 58-13. Florida State is undefeated. North Alabama is 3-8. North Alabama's coach was intense. That man was angry all the time, yelling into his headset. His halftime interview after halftime or whatever after the first quarter was hilarious because he was just angry and intense and spirited. I don't think he had ill intentions, but he was just a mad hatter. It was 13-0 after the first quarter. North Alabama was up, and then it was 24-13 at halftime, and Florida State took over from there. I think it was the very last play of the game, Florida State blocked a field goal and returned it to the house. So playing to the final whistle, it's good to see that. Boise State goes to Utah State, wins 45-10. Boise State is 6-5. Utah State is 5-6. In a big-time rivalry game, Kansas State goes on the road and beats Kansas 31-27. K-State is 8-3. Kansas is 7-4. Arkansas wins at home versus Florida International 45-20. Arkansas, or actually both teams, are now 4-7. Florida State wins a barn burner against Florida 33-31. Florida had a chance to win that one at the end, but he just didn't get it done. Missouri's a tough team. I think CBS has Iowa versus Missouri matchup in the bowl projections. I would hate to see that just because of the color scheme. I think Missouri, I just don't want to play Missouri. Missouri is now 9-2, and Florida is 5-6. Wisconsin escapes against Nebraska 24-17. Wisconsin is 6-5. Nebraska is 5-6. So they got to beat Iowa next on Friday to become bowl eligible. So they're going to be hungry in Rhule's first year. South Carolina beats Kentucky at home 17-14. South Carolina is 5-6 and Kentucky is 6-5. A lot of people hating on Mark Stoops. Washington goes on the road and beats Oregon State 22-20 in a great game. Oregon State had a chance there at the end, but just after that DJ scramble, they called 4 terrible play calls, and that was game. Unfortunate, but Washington undefeated, and Oregon State moves to 8-3. Georgia Tech beats Syracuse 31-22. Georgia Tech 6-5. Syracuse 5-6. LSU 9-3. They beat Georgia State who is 6-5. Score of that game was 56-14. Texas goes to Ames, Iowa, and comes out of there victorious 26-16. Texas is now 10-1. Iowa State is 6-5. New Mexico goes on the road and upsets Fresno State 25-17. Fresno State was 8-2 going into that game. They're now 8-3, and New Mexico is 4-7. San Jose State beats San Diego State 24-13. San Jose State is 6-5. San Diego State having a rough year. They're 3-8. Texas San Antonio beats up on South Florida 49-21. Texas San Antonio is 8-3. South Florida is 5-6. Washington State embarrasses Colorado 56-14. Colorado is now 4-7. Washington State is 5-6. Pittsburgh beats Boston College 24-16. Pitt is 3-8. BC is 6-5 now. Miami of Ohio beats Buffalo 23-10 at home. Miami of Ohio is 9-2. Buffalo is 3-8. Ohio beats Central Michigan at home 34-20. Ohio is 8-3. Central Michigan is 5-6. Eastern Michigan wins at home 30-27 versus Akron. Eastern Michigan is 5-6. Akron is 2-9. Toledo goes on the road and wins by 1 versus Bowling Green. That looks like it was an exciting game. Score that one 32-31. Toledo is now 10-1. Bowling Green is 6-5. And to wrap things up, Rocky Lombardi from right down the street in Northern Illinois blanks Western Michigan 24-0. Moving Northern Illinois to 5-6 and Western Michigan to 4-7. Rocky Lombardi's passing stats, he had 99 yards. So that wraps up week 12 already. I will do a different video on next week's games because my nose is running. So a lot of rivalry games, a lot of big games next week. Can't wait to watch it. I can't believe college football is over. It doesn't have to be, like I keep saying, but the committee is just a bunch of bozos, and they're not going to do anything about it. Maybe when I'm at the Big Ten championship game, I talk to both teams, both fan bases, and we get a rally going. A petition going. I think the NCAA is in Indianapolis, and we just storm the capital of the NCAA insurrection and be like, hey, you morons, let's have a 12-team playoff this year. Here's why it would benefit you and these parties. We can make this happen. Let's go. Let's do something. But anyway, thanks for joining. If you made it this long, I appreciate it. Maybe I won't make a video this week, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, talking about the games upcoming on Friday, Black Friday, and Saturday. There might be a couple games on Thanksgiving too. I always remember Texas and Texas A&M used to play on Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure, but that's kind of a fun little. They don't do that anymore, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to next weekend, man. It's a big week, and then it's championship weekend, and I'm gonna be in Indianapolis. I'm looking forward to it. I don't put a lot of things on my calendar. I'm a homebody, but I'm gonna get out there and be amongst the people. Taking the Amtrak, so I'm gonna see some beautiful. Maybe not. I mean, I'm going through Iowa and Illinois for the most part. It's really not that pretty, the parts I'm seeing, but who cares? It's part of the Midwest. If we ended up blocking ourselves off from everybody, I got to appreciate all of it because that's all we got to work with. So, um, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get off this thing and go buy my Amtrak tickets. I'm going to find a hotel. I was looking earlier today. I think I found like a La Quinta for like $80 or $90 a night. So I'm going to take that. It's 7 miles away from Lucas Oil, and I'm going to go to the zoo in the morning on Friday, and then I'm going to go to the art museum because those things look pretty cool when I was looking up things to do in Indianapolis. So I'm going to document all that and try not to look like a douchebag while doing it. I don't know how these people do it, if they've got like somebody coming around with them with a camera or whatnot. What's funny is I just bought a like semi-professional. It's like originally it was like $1,200, I think. Um, really nice video camera from the city of where I live in, their police department, because they have auctions. They auction stuff off all the time that they confiscate from people, that they use themselves as a department, and then it just becomes too old or they don't use it anymore. They'll auction it off. And I bought this camera, fully intending, and I'm going to sell it for a profit. But I've got it right now, and I should have. It would be funny if I had somebody come with me and they use that professional camera, and I wear like sunglasses and I've got like my Iowa gear on, but nobody knows who I am. But just because somebody would be following me and I'm kind of mysterious, I didn't travel with anybody except for this person. I'm keeping it low key. I've always got headphones in or whatever, sunglasses on. People will think I'm some celebrity that they don't know about, or like they'll be filming me. And it'll just be the dumbest thing ever because I am nobody. I don't want to be anybody, but that's how easy it is to um, go viral, like pick up steam, make this like influencer bullshit. That's how easy it is. You can just play a part. Um, and you'll start catching people randomly here, and it'll be slow, and you got to figure out how to get better at it, just like anything. But that's how easy it is. You can just plan these things out. Like, say I go to take an Amtrak and document all that, and somebody catches it. I put some keywords in there that people might find when they type in, and that's how the algorithm starts. People, maybe they hate me, maybe they like a little bit of it, maybe they like Florida State, maybe they like Iowa, I don't know. But maybe something resonates with them, and um, they start watching these videos, and that's how a community starts. And I'm getting way into the weeds there, but um, that's how easy it is. And that thought has crossed my mind because it's a perfect scenario. Iowa's not going to get back to the Big Ten championship game for a long time, if they ever do. We know that. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm proud of them. They may get there a number of times. Who knows? There's been times where their teams have been really, really good. But in terms of the other teams on the east side of things, they're head and shoulders above them right now, and that may change. I don't know, but so I was not going to get there. I don't get out of the house. It's not that I don't get out of the house. I just don't travel very often anymore. I hate flying. I hate driving, so that eliminates a lot of things. But I can take the Amtrak there. I've always wanted to take it east. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. That sounds like fun to me. That's my idea of fun. Um, And then when I get there, I'm going to the zoo Friday morning, then I'm going to the art museum, and then I'm just gonna document like just Iowans descending on Indianapolis, Indiana, in the downtown area or wherever's popular out there. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna catch people and they're just having a good time doing what they love with the people. They're surrounded by the people that they want to be surrounded with, good people. It's just gonna be a rocking good time. So I gotta get off this thing and get Amtrak tickets and get that all figured out. And tomorrow at work, I gotta submit for a time off because I'm making these plans without having days off. So I got to make that happen. I'm very grateful and appreciative to have the opportunity to even take days off. I know people out there, times are hard and they're working 3, 4 jobs just to put food on the table. So I don't want to come off as ungrateful and um, yeah, I recognize how lucky I am to even have the opportunity to travel to Indianapolis because of a football team that I like. I realize how ridiculous that can sound to people who are really struggling out there, whatever their situation is. Um, yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. I may or may not see you later this week. Otherwise, it'll be next weekend. I'll recap that again. Have a good one.